Good morning. Thank you for coming to our program, Meet the Artist. It's an interactive dialogue between the guest artist and the conductor and the audience. You will have a chance to ask questions at the end of the interview, and we're very excited to bring back our music director, Marcelo Lehninger. Marcelo, this is the first program of the season. How was your summer?
Oh, it was great. I was in Tanglewood and with the whole family. It was a very nice summer, very busy with Boston Symphony, but I'm really glad to be here again. And it's going to be an incredible, incredible season.
Can you tell us a little bit about the program that our audiences will witness this weekend?
Well, this weekend, of course, we have Sarah Chang playing with us, which is an honor, and we're really happy to have her here. And she's playing Max Bruch, Violin Concerto No. 1, one of her signature pieces. And we have this program which is half German and half South America. I don't know if that sounds familiar for you, but we plan the first half starting with Beethoven and Bruch, and then having a lot of fun stuff and rhythm of South America with pieces by Gershwin, which, well, North America, but Cuban Overture, and then two pieces by Argentinian composers Ginastera and Piazzolla.
Well, I think that there are some new people in the audience here today. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? Because you just hinted that you were half German.
That's right. So I'm half German, and but I grew up in Brazil, in Rio. My father's German, but I was born and grew up in Rio. So half South American, half German. So
this program is probably really, really personal for you.
Well, maybe.
And can you tell us about the flow of the program? How does it feel to play Bruch and then go into a Cuban Overture and adding a little bit of a crossover flavor?
You know, it's really hard to change the gear, going from Beethoven, Bruch, and then Gershwin Overture, and Ginastera and Piazzolla. But it's really fun, actually. I found it yesterday rehearsing the orchestra. We did Bruch and Beethoven the first half, and then we have to do the Gershwin and Ginastera in the second. And it's just, it's a nice feeling that you finish that first half of romantic, beautiful German music, and then you go to the Latin stuff, and the rhythm and the percussion, it's huge for Gershwin and Ginastera. So it's actually it's a nice feeling, even though it's kind of hard to change the gear and the mood. It's a very nice feeling, and I think the program flows really well, and it's either fun to play and to conduct, and I'm sure it'll be great to listen and be in there and experience that program.
Well, yesterday I have to tell you that I was dancing a little bit in the aisles when you were rehearsing it. So it's going to be a fun program. And if you haven't visited our new website, it's www.newwestsymphony.org, and you can see all our programs for the entire season, including their bios of the guest artists, Marcelo's bio that he was just referring to, and also you can experience the New West Symphony because we have a very nice video that we just put together. It's called Hearing is Believing. So you can find that video on our website as well. So without further ado, I'm really, really, really excited today because we are very privileged to have a guest artist of an incredible stature. And her name is Sarah Chang, and she is one of the greatest violinists in the world. From the first time that she played with New York Philharmonic when she was 8 years old, to now, she's traveled around the world and performed with the best orchestras. So we are very, very fortunate to have Sarah here. And without further ado, I'd like to bring on stage violinist Sarah Chang.
Thank you.
Sarah, welcome to our morning program.
Good to be here. Thank you. Thanks for getting up so early, everybody.
Sarah just flew from Philadelphia specifically for our concerts, and then Marcelo and Sarah, both on the same flight going to Boston. Marcelo, of course, lives there, and Sarah has engagements over there as well. So I wanted to talk a little bit about your experience with the orchestra last night. It was the first time you performed with New West Symphony. We're very, very honored to have you. So if you could tell us a little bit about what is your experience going for the first time in the hall, performing, meeting the orchestra and the conductor.
Well, I'm having such a great time. First of all, I've been wanting to meet Maestro and to play with him for a very, very long time. And we just found out today that we're actually with the same management as well. So it feels like we're part of the same family already. So that's always very, very nice. And the orchestra is beautiful. You know, they play so beautifully. And I was really happy to see some friends that I've known from over the years. Danielle, your concert mistress, is phenomenal. I've worked with her in the past and in other festivals, and you know, it's really interesting how tiny the music world really is.
You know, we figured that out yesterday when we saw a lot of common friends.
There really are, and at the end of the day, really there are a select number of schools that we all go to. And you know, even if you didn't go the same year, you all know of each other through friends, and we all either went to Juilliard or Curtis or Colburn, or it's a very small selective group. And even after we all finish with school and then we sort of branch out into the real world, and it's really interesting that we all end up in the same circle and we end up seeing each other all the time. So it's quite cool. It's really, really nice.
You know, it was actually interesting because Sarah and I were in the car last night driving to the rehearsal, and apparently we share a little bit something in common. I used to manage American Youth Symphony, and Sarah performed with Meili Mehta.
I did.
Back in the day.
This was like 20 years ago when I was a child, and he probably had more energy than I did.
Yeah, and then of course Sarah performed with Zubin Mehta and Gustavo Dudamel. She comes quite often to Los Angeles to perform with Los Angeles Philharmonic. So it's an honor to have her here performing with New West Symphony. So thank you for coming.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
You know, I was reading the number of awards in your bio, and I was so inspired by what you have done in your career. And from the time when she was the youngest artist who was given the Hollywood Hall of Fame award, to the times when you were running with the torch for the 2004 Olympic. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience growing up and being in the spotlight?
Well, you know, I started out as a musician not really thinking this was anything more than going on stage and having fun and playing music and making friends, and I just thought it was a lot simpler than it actually is. And then you start growing up in the business and you learn very quickly that it actually is a business, and that somehow, it still to this day turns me off a little bit, because the fun part is getting together with musicians and making music and rehearsing and doing concerts, and that's the natural high that I get from what we do. And then, you know, come daytime, there are the managers and the agents and the press people, and just there's a lot of fluff that sort of surrounds this business. And I didn't really know fully, I didn't fully understand that side of it when I started. And then obviously all of a sudden you're being given the Hollywood Hall of Fame, and which is such a huge honor, but then you go and all of a sudden there's a red carpet event and like hair and makeup, and all of a sudden they want you to pose in front of cameras. I'm like, I need to go practice because I'm gonna play. I need to play the Carmen Fantasy in about 20 minutes, and you want me to pose on a red carpet for God knows how many cameras. So it's a sort of different kind of world, and you do try your best to sort of balance both. And the whole Olympic torch thing, that was just a hoot. That was
tell us a little bit more.
I have no idea why they asked me to run with it.
Well, I have an idea.
I honestly, I'm not a runner. You have to like drag me kicking and screaming to the treadmill occasionally, you know. But like I literally got off a flight from London that day, and everybody had to wear the same Olympic uniform, and you had to go pick it up the day before, but I wasn't in New York that day, so my assistant went and she picked up the uniform for me, and it didn't fit, so we had to do a little nip and tuck, you know, right before I started running. And it was July, and it was like 102 degrees in New York City, and you're told to run for 7 blocks, and you're thinking, number one, it's really hot and they've got cameras in your face and I don't really feel like smiling and waving and pretending I'm this really great marathon runner. And number two, I just hope to God I don't like trip and like fall on my face in front of everybody. But no, it was a huge honor, a huge honor. And then when we were done with all that, they gave all the torch runners a sort of replica torch to take home as a souvenir, and that's like the first thing you see as soon as you walk into my home. So I have very, very fond memories of that.
Wow, thank you for sharing this. This is an interesting story. I also wanted to talk a little bit about education, because we know that New West Symphony does a lot of educational programs, from symphonic adventures that are interactive concerts that we specifically designed for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, to a new harmony project of Ventura County, where we are doing after-school classes for youth that is at risk at the moment. But I know, Sarah, that education and giving back and nurturing young talent is also important to you. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about how do you, because today we're doing a miniature masterclass, how do you usually conduct a masterclass, and where have you done it in the world?
I think it's about 2 years ago, the U.S. Embassy, for some reason, which I'm very grateful for, but don't quite understand, made me an artistic ambassador. And with that entails the responsibility to essentially travel all around the world while I'm on tour and to work with the local students. So I've done this in war-ridden places like Serbia. In Africa, I've gone to and worked with the kids there. Actually, one of the last places I was in South America, and we did the program in Sao Paulo and also Argentina as well. So it really entails either working with students who are already music students and they've already decided that they want to pursue music and they just need a sort of boost in making the next step, or children, as was the case when I went to Africa, who are living in truly sort of subhuman conditions, and literally the government places an instrument in their hands hoping that it gives them some sort of structure and a place to go to after school for rehearsals and getting together with other students and essentially keep them off the streets. So it really does explore both ends of the extreme spectrum. And I've learned so much, not just about music and children, but about different cultures in the process of doing this, and also more about myself and how incredibly lucky and privileged that we are to be enjoying the life that we have.
Wow, thank you, thank you. With that, I would like to introduce our first student, and she is phenomenal. She is one of the students of our concertmaster, Danielle Belen, and I believe that Hannah, her name is Hannah Song, and I believe that she is going to perform for about 6-7 minutes, and then Sarah is going to give her feedback, and then we will meet another young violinist. His name is Rayu Shikubu. So today we have 2 students. So without further ado, I would like to invite Hannah Song. Also, we're very lucky to have a concert pianist today, and her name is Valeria Margovskaya.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much for the music. Oh, you play beautifully.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, how old are you?
13.
Oh my gosh, you're so little. I was 13 once. Yeah. You play beautifully, and that's a beautiful instrument as well.
Thank you.
Is that a full size?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, it looks big for you, but it sounds beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. How long have you been playing this?
For a few months.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. There's really nothing to say because you play so great. Like literally, you could go on stage and play this with the new West Symphony. I could take the day off tomorrow. I'll go to the beach and yeah, you can sort of take over here. I think the only thing that I did notice is that you've got a beautiful vibrato, and it's absolutely gorgeous. If it were something like Tchaikovsky, or maybe even, pick any sort of romantic sort of piece, it would be perfect. I think for Beethoven, though, it's very much in the classical era, so I think, in a way, for anything that's sort of classical, you need to scale back a little bit. So I think for that, I think just to maybe watch your vibrato a little bit to make sure it doesn't get too wide and too gushingly romantic, because that's beautiful for Tchaikovsky, but maybe not for Beethoven. So could you just start at the beginning again for me, if you don't mind? Just for a second, sorry. Sorry, I didn't bring my violin with me today. Can you start the beginning for me? Yeah. And then when you get to the C, this thing, I've noticed that you're doing a great job in keeping the vibrato going for every single note. So there's a tendency that you sound like that. And then the vibrato on the C is, it's really fat and beautiful, but maybe not so fitting for Beethoven. So maybe just watch the ending vibrato on all the ending notes. So, and then just sort of fade away really, really naturally, so that you have a lift off, and then you can sort of continue onwards. Yeah. You have no rosin on this bow. How do you play with no rosin? Okay, that's amazing. Good, good. Okay, that's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Your bow distribution is very good. It's really, really good. But when you play sections like the top point is obviously the D, right? So if I'm watching you, you tend, and I'm exaggerating here, but you use so much bow here that you actually have nothing left at the frog. So make sure that you save when you're doing that, so that you have the most amount of bow left for the top D at the frog, yeah? No, it's okay. Just can start somewhere in the middle. Okay, good, but without the sort of banana swell, you know? Okay, good. Okay, could you put it all together now? Da 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 da. Go from there. Good. Watch the vibrato there. Watch that. Yeah. Go on. It's okay. Good. Yeah. Okay, good, beautiful. one last thing. When you, it's okay for you to have one open string, but I consider going up on the A string so that you don't have the same E like 3 times in a row, because the E tends to scream sometimes. And it's not you, it's just that the E string in general is a really bright string, so if you're not careful, it tends to scream a little bit. So can you go from da 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 da? So the E sort of blares out, and you don't want it to stick out so much. So yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Go on. Da, da. Okay. So maybe using the 4th finger isn't the best option, but. Maybe do that, right? And then make sure that, and I know it's really hard, but because the 4th finger is the weakest finger naturally, but make sure you vibrate the F before you go on to the next note. It's okay. Good. One, good. Vibrate that. There we go. Good.
I want everybody to give a big round of applause for Hannah. Hannah and Sarah, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Wasn't that fun to get a glimpse?
She's so cute. Oh my God.
To get a glimpse at what the students have to go through. How many hours a day have you practiced, and do you still have to practice? And I know traveling and going to you're between the hotels all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you do?
I think practicing when I was a student was much more regimented. You had school, and then an X amount of hours dedicated to violin, and X amount of hours dedicated to homework and stuff like that. But these days, as you said, it's like if you're spending all day traveling, and the last thing you want to do when you get to your hotel room, is like take out the violin and practice, when all you want is literally just take a bath and just go to bed, right? So it's anywhere from 1 hour if it's a really busy day to 5, 6, 7, 8 hours if it's necessary. Right? Wow. So it's never like 8 hours in a row, because that's not physically possible. But do an hour or two, take a break, do emails, do phone calls, take care of all the other sort of messy business, and then go back to practicing, which actually in a way calms you. And sort of in my own head, it just writes everything, for me to just spend a few hours and doing my scales, doing my sort of thirds and octaves, and it makes me feel like I've sort of cleansed myself.
Well, wonderful. I think that what you just showed, you could hear how the sound has changed, right, Marcelo?
Yeah, definitely, totally.
Yeah.
And she's so talented. She's so amazingly talented, my goodness.
That's great. I wanted to ask both of you, I think that you have one common link between two of you. You probably have, I've heard it from Marcelo, but I want to hear it from Sarah and Marcelo, about your mentor and one of the biggest idols that Marcelo has.
It's actually so emotional, because Sarah is playing Bruch Violin Concerto, and she recorded with Maestro Mazur and together with Brahms,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
And it's very special, because I used to work with Maestro Mazur, and I was his pupil, and I travel with him, and he's sort of like a godfather, musical godfather, just a very special person in my heart. So it's very special to be playing that concerto that you recorded with him. So beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
And I listened, and I know you have a very special relationship with him too.
I do, and I mean, you probably know him as well as I do, but he's such a gentle human being, and he's this grand, amazing maestro, probably one of the last living greats, and he also has this sort of perfectionist side, which is very common in many other professionals. You know, I've seen him literally, you know, be so gentle and so loving with his family. He has a beautiful family, you know, Tomoko and his son Ken, who also conducts. And then when it comes to music, though, it's completely different. You know, you see this steely gaze come over him, and he expects absolute excellence. And you know, I have so much respect for him.
Yeah,
you know?
me too.
I mean, I remember I recorded the Bruch and the Brahms with him. As we all know, when we're recording, time is very, very short, and you're trying to maximize every single minute that you have during the session. And of course, you've got union people, you know, sort of breathing down your neck, and people from the record industry, like with the stopwatch, with 2 stopwatches, by the way, in case one breaks. You know, God forbid you would ever go into overtime. So they have 2 stopwatches, and if you have, you know, 2 sessions, you need to be done at a specific time. You know, just if it's a 2 o'clock cutoff, you need to be done at 2 o'clock. And I remember we were doing the Brahms concerto, and we were recording this in Dresden, and he used up the first hour and a half of the session on just the tutti of the Brahms, of the introduction tutti of the Brahms. And I was standing there, and they had cameras rolling and all that great stuff, so I was in the 4-inch heels, and I was ready to cry anyway, because they were such painful heels. And I was there to record, but he had spent an hour and a half of the first session on just the orchestra tutti, and I had not played a single note. And when we were taking our break, I said, I was boiling over because I was getting so mad. I was like, we have literally 1 session left, and we have not actually played a single note of the violin concerto. And he sat me down, and he said, the most important part of the Brahms violin concerto is the opening. It's not when the soloist comes in, that's just decoration. The most important part is the opening, and that sets the tone, that sets the sound and the carpet and the overall atmosphere of the entire concerto. And if that's not right, whatever you do afterwards does not matter. So when he told me that, I was like, you know what, he's right. He's actually right. And no wonder we spent an hour and a half on the beginning with me not even playing my first introduction note. It was an eye-opening experience to do that with him.
And it's quite amazing the way he think about music, as you said, you know, and it says a lot of him doing that, spending 1 hour in that introduction, because when it comes to music, he's so committed.
Yeah. Exactly.
And he thinks about music in a very philosophical way, and he just inspires. He's one of those figures that just to be around, to talk about music, to work with music. Even sometimes it's difficult, but it's just so inspiring. And I'm so fortunate that I met him, and you know, it's just the recording is gorgeous. So bravo on that.
It is a gorgeous recording, and I think that you also, the audience here, will get a chance to get a CD at our concert, and we are performing on Friday in Oxnard Performing Arts Center. On Saturdays, we perform at Civic Arts Plaza here in Thousand Oaks, and on Sundays, we perform in Santa Monica. And you can get our schedule and our programming at our website, and I'm going to repeat myself because I'm executive director of the New West Symphony. If you go to on our website, it's www.newwestsymphony.org, and you can get all the information there. I also wanted to, before we bring Ray here, I wanted to ask you, Sarah, how do you choose the repertoire for the CDs, for the recordings? Because you have been exclusively recording with EMI for about 20 years now?
Yes. Yeah, we actually just came out with a 20 CD celebration set to sort of commemorate the 20 years I've been with the company. And it's, for me, it's one of my proudest moments, because to be with not just any company, but one company for over 20 years is, I think, fairly rare in this business that we're in.
Absolutely.
And, you know, it's, you know, the recording industry, you know, has had its ups and downs through the years, but I'm very grateful to be with the same company that I started out with. I think repertoire is so crucial. It's so crucial because I don't think we're living in a time now where we can just slam out recordings for the sake of slamming out recordings. It was like that maybe about 10, 15 years ago. They were just asking me to record everything everything, and just physically getting me into a studio and just putting everything down on tape. And they would say, we'll figure out the release later, but we just want to get you down on tape. And those days are gone now. You know, every record that you make has to have meaning. There has to be a place in the market for it. Now for me, the number one thing are partners. You know, the conductors that I work with, the orchestras, and then right after that for me is repertoire. You know, because that for me is you're leaving, as I'm sure the same for you. You're leaving a part of yourself and your soul and your heart and everything that you worked for, sort of frozen in a moment of time in this little disc. And that's it. Once it's done, it's done. So you really want to make sure that it's something that you're really proud of and confident about. So, you know, there have been times when, I mean, for instance, the Four Seasons disc that I did, I only did that like 4 or 5 years ago. You know, and that was after probably more than 10 years of EMI, literally breathing down my neck and saying, record the Vivaldi, record the Vivaldi. When are you going to record the Vivaldi? It's like every violinist on the face of the earth has recorded the Four Seasons, and you're the only one who hasn't. So, but for me, it was something very, very personal, and because of the sheer fact that every violinist and their grandmothers and their grandfathers have recorded the Vivaldi, I wanted to make sure that I was fully ready. And it wasn't until about 4 or 5 years ago that I actually felt that I was ready enough to actually put myself and commit myself to tape. So, you know, I really do think sometimes, you know, you always want to have an ear open and listen to the people who are advising you, but at the same time, you need to, I think, listen to your core more than anything else. And if you feel in your gut that, you know what, I don't think I'm ready, I need a few more years before I commit this to tape, then, you know, stick to your guns.
It's amazing. That shows also how Sarah is so committed to music and also an inspiration figure. And I have to tell you, when we receive a soloist like Sarah Chang, it's unbelievable how the orchestra gets so inspired and how the sound completely changes. It's like day and night, and I experienced that yesterday. Just to have Sarah there on stage playing with us, from the first 2 minutes of rehearsal, the orchestra changed the sound and they got inspired. So it's amazing having you here, and I'm sure it's going to be a great concert. I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope you all there should be signing the CDs also. So it's going to be a great experience.
Thank you for that.
Last question before we move on. I wanted to ask you what was behind your recording Bruch and Brahms. How did you pick Bruch and Brahms?
Well, it started out with the Brahms. I really wanted to record the Brahms. It's probably one of my favorite concertos, if not the favorite concerto of all time. And I wanted to record it, and I really wanted to do it with Maestro Mazur. Part of the fact was because, you know, when Maestro Mazur was with the New York Philharmonic, I played with him every single season, and we went through the entire, you know, probably standard reps, starting with Tchaikovsky, to Paganini, to Shostakovich, to just everything you can think of under the sun. And around the, I think, 9th or 10th year that I was with him, I started asking him, when can we do Brahms? When can we do Brahms? And he kept on telling me, you're too young, you're too young. And I would get really frustrated. I'm like, what is he saying? I'm too young. We've done everything else until now. Why is he saying that I'm too young for Brahms? And it got really, really frustrating for me. And then I remember this, after we played Shostakovich 1, and we had 4 concerts in New York with it, he asked me to come to his dressing room. And he told me, next year, let's do the Brahms together here. But he said, but I want you to come to my home tomorrow. He lives in upstate New York. And he said, bring a fresh score, no markings. I want you to start fresh. I want you to forget everything that you learned about the Brahms at school at Juilliard. He said, whatever you learned at Juilliard, just forget. He said, bring a fresh score, no markings, and come to me tomorrow by 10 a.m. or whatever it was. So I went, and literally he tore it apart. He tore apart the Brahms as I had learned it. And I mean, this is Kurt Mazur. I mean, he's from Leipzig. This is like the land of music, right? So I was there all day, literally. I think we spent probably about an hour and a half on the first page alone, you know, and he tore it apart, and we started all over again. And after that sort of session, you're so inspired, and you start questioning everything that you've ever done, right? And you leave thinking, oh my God, do I even know how to play the violin anymore, right? But after that, you think, there's nobody on earth that I want to record this with except Maestro Mazur. So we started out with plans to do the Brahms. And then I think he was the one actually who suggested that because Joseph Joachim had sort of had his handprints all over the Brahms concerto and the Bruch concerto, that it would be a really nice coupling to do those together on one disc. And surprisingly, for some reason, I had not recorded the Bruch for my 20-some years with EMI, so it worked out really well.
Yeah, and it's one of the most listened CDs, one of the 250 CDs it was voted listened CDs in classical music. So thank you for sharing it with us. And I would like to bring our next student, and you probably know him if you attended our programs last year. Ray was our soloist for Symphonic Adventures concerts. He was somewhat a mentor to our third, fourth, and fifth graders. And it was wonderful to have him. I think since that time he was on the program. He's a pianist as well as a violinist, so he was on the program from the top, on Jay Leno, and just a very, very wonderful individual and a great violinist. So without further ado, Ray Wushikubo.
ridiculously good. Oh my gosh. How old are you?
I'm 12.
Oh, they get younger and younger. Oh, that deserves applause. Wow. Wow. You play so beautifully. Wow. Do you want to start at the beginning?
Yeah.
Just the beginning of it. Okay, beautiful. So good. I can't even begin to say. Could I borrow that for a second? Is this a full size?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thing about Mozart,
Yeah.
number one, it's one of the most difficult composers to play ever. It seems it's like deceptively simple,
Yeah.
but it's one of the most difficult things to ever play.
Yeah.
You play so beautifully that I don't even want to say anything, but essentially when you start this concerto, more than any of the others,
Yeah.
though, is okay. Hold on, just a second. You're very sort of extroverted right now at the beginning, right? And I love that. You don't want to lose any of that, especially when you're on stage and you're a performer and you're playing a solo, violin concerto. Then you definitely need that. But right now you sound a little. I'm going to exaggerate a little bit, okay? Here. Everything is very big and open. Right?
Yeah.
That would be amazing for Shostakovich or Brahms or any of the other pieces.
Yeah.
Now, for Mozart, I think you probably need to think about playing more for yourself.
Oh.
It's about more sort of inner peace within your. It's not so much. We have a lot of people here today. Thank you so much for being here. But with Mozart, I think you need to play a little bit more as if you're playing in a small room for yourself. It's for your own sort of satisfaction and your own sort of inner peace. It's not for the thousands of people that are out there, but it's for yourself. So maybe more like. You can actually open up a little bit more, but the very, very beginning, I think, should be a little bit more introverted. So give it another go. Good. Okay, no, I'm being really, really picky here. Until you get da 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 da, that little phrase, don't move at all. Don't move at all. You can after that you can move as much as you want. And this coming from me is kind of laughable because I do dance around the stage. I move a lot on stage, and to the extent where all the musicians around me have to like sort of pull back their chairs because they're afraid I'm going to like step on them. But for that one phrase, try to play without moving at all. Okay. Move as much as you want.
I wanted to say thank you to Ray.
Beautiful.
Ray, thank you.
Great job. Thank you very much. You played beautifully. You really did.
Bravo. Thank you, Ray. I know we can go for another hour, but I said it would be a miniature masterclass. So I wanted to thank Sarah for being here and for giving the feedback to this exceptionally talented students that our concertmaster Danielle Belen is very fortunate to have. And if you'd like to hear more, please come to our concerts, and you can find our information on www.newwestsymphony.org, as well as buy Sarah's CDs. She is selling them on Amazon, and as well as you can buy them at the concert. So thank you so much for being here. I wanted to thank Marcelo Lehninger. They have another rehearsal tonight, and then we're performing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.